This video, I'm going to be breaking down how to run an off-meta offense in College Football 26, and we're going to be building one completely from scratch. Now, as you see here, I'm going to just do Georgia on Georgia. I think this is kind of a pretty good way to practice in this game. And we're going to go to playbook. So obviously Bowling Green, pretty meta playbook, but we're going to actually go over here and we're going to try out the Arkansas State. Actually, I was looking at that Arkansas State. What I basically do is I go on to the playbook database and just look at plays and try to find, what's good routes, what's good spacing, what's good formations. And we'll talk a little bit about what to look for and how I identified this formation. Here's one of the biggest principles that I feel like I could give you if you're trying to truly be quote unquote unique in college football or Madden, for that matter. I do Madden videos as well on my Madden channel, and basically it's just this: the meta informs the off meta. The meta typically will inform the off meta, meaning the meta principles that are ran at the highest of levels are going to give you the information that you need when you want to go through and build an off meta offense. Now, typically an off meta offense, there's going to be something that makes it good. There's something, whether it's specific routes, an RPO, a run, there's something about the formation that is going to make it good. And for me, I've kind of settled in on this Y off trio week. The reason I like this Y off trio week is really primarily for one route, and I just think it's the most important route in college football, and that is a short post route. A short post route to me is super important, and ideally, a formation would have a short post route that goes from right to left, and then it would also have a short post route that goes from left to right. So as you see here, this play outs, it has a short post route. The other thing about this formation, though, is if you go over here to the play sticking up, it also has a short post route. So we have a short post route from the left to the right and a short post route from the right to the left. We also, if you just look at the formation itself, it's a nice formation because it has the running back on one side and the tight end on the other side. This is kind of historically the best way to block pretty much any blitz in the game. It also has some unique routes within this play, PA post dig shot, which we can kind of build around, and we know that play action can actually help us block a lot of the different blitzes in this game. So now that we have like a formation that we want to work with and we have some good plays, the first thing to do is to kind of, I like to just set some audibles and then go into the practice session. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go through and just kind of put like what my main plays would be. I don't normally set a run when I'm labbing these things. I just, kind of pop them in. So one of the plays I know I want to have in here is this play outs to test this short post and these other routes around here. Another thing, you're also looking for routes that you can't hot route. That's always like a big key in terms of your plays, is you're looking for plays that have routes that you can't hot route. For example, this play in and go has a unique short crosser. It also has a ghost route on the running back. The reason why ghost routes are really good is ghost routes have been good in Madden and in college for a long time. They used to be able to be hot routed, but now they're not. So that's an example of a route that I might try just to test this as a potential good route. Another great play to have in every playbook is verticals, of course, all go. This is, unfortunately, they don't have the great verticals play that I really wanted, but this one will suffice. You also have kind of these, deep post routes. As you see here, we have a deep post route on the right side. Could we build around that? And so I'm going to grab that play, PA post shot, and we're going to put that in here as well. So we have some plays now to work with. And really, typically, you're looking for about 5 to 10 combos that you can then put into more of a scheme format. So what we're going to do is we're going to come out and stick it up. And really, the best way to test everything is really what we're trying to do first whenever we're building an offense is we're trying to first, of course, just have good pass protection, which is why we picked this formation in the first place. We have a running back on one side and we have a tight end on the other side. And the other thing that we really are trying to do is we're trying to consistently be able to beat man coverage. If you can't beat man coverage, you can't really beat anything, right? It's too easy to play defense on you. So you're trying to find good man beating routes that you can then turn into zone beating combinations. So first and foremost, this short post on the left side, we just want to test this route and make sure that it beats man. Another thing that's always important is to just understand like where your depth chart is and where you probably want your best receiver, which I am probably going to change that here in just a minute. But what you're going to see is you have the short post kind of got bagged right there. I will say 2 men under. It really does like come down to almost like ratings, which is why I'm going to make this one adjustment. So if I go to my depth chart here, I kind of saw where my receivers lined up, and you saw that Zachariah Branch was in the slot receiver position. What I would prefer is I would prefer him to be actually over on that isolation spot. So I'll go through my slot receiver and just make sure that, Zachariah Branch is not there. I'll put this guy Humphreys there. And then we'll put this guy Humphreys also at the number 2 receiver position. And then we'll kind of see where they're lining up once we come back out here. So if we come back out, we'll just run a play, throw the ball away, and then we'll just take a look at what's going on. By the way, if you are enjoying this kind of style of video, I want to let you know about our school community. It's completely free to you guys. I created this so that I could just essentially have more of a community around my content. And so if you guys are looking to get better at Madden or college football, you can join our school community completely for free. You get exclusive tips, mini schemes, and a community of people that are trying to get better at both games together. So if you want to sign up for that, that is going to be in the description down below. Been super excited with the response to that, and we got a lot of really cool content coming for our school community. So that being said, now we have Zachariah Branch over here, and then we have, this is kind of what I envisioned in terms of where we want everybody. Now we're just going to go through and we're going to just test these routes. So first and foremost, I'm just going to clear out this tight end by putting him on a drag, and I'm going to block my running back. We're really just looking for this post. Does this post get consistent separation? As you see, it kind of does. I will say, again, cover 2 man is stock shaded to the middle of the field. So that is one thing that you have to kind of be aware of. Also, I've noticed that in practice mode, man coverage is a little bit even more sticky than it is in game. But again, I'm just trying to test this route. I'm also going to put other routes out here. So like what I would actually do with this is drag the tight end and just kind of see, does this route get open? This time you see the post gets a little bit more separation over the middle of the field. And also, abilities can all those are factors and everything here. So you have to kind of be mindful of that. But I do like the short post against zone. I think it's really, really good. And honestly, normally man coverage. There you see, finally we get it Fries. So it Fries, 1 out of 3 times, which isn't great, but it is stock shaded inside. Now, the other thing I was going to show you is what about like off coverage? So if they do run off coverage, I do think it's important to just test, like, what if they don't press? Because a lot of times in this game, press will mess up your routes, but there are some downsides to press that I'll cover in just a minute. So what you're going to see here is that when he is not pressed, this is 100% of 100%. He's always getting open. Another thing that you can also do that they put into this game is we can do the route commit. So I'm going to route commit. Actually, make sure I do this right. So I'm going to route commit to the inside, and I'm going to pass commit. Because again, I'm just trying to test this route just to see, can I build an entire offense around this route, right? That's kind of what I'm looking at. So you see I route commit to the inside, but he still is able to win. So what that tells me is really the primary way that he was able to be defended was really through the cover 2 man stock shade inside, and the press really was one of the other big components. So we'll try this a couple more times, and then we'll take a look at some of the other routes. And you see here he gets pressed, and when he gets pressed like that, he does technically win late, but he doesn't get enough separation for what we're looking for. And again, we also noted that is not like he will, if they press like that, he will win sometimes, and then sometimes he will lose. It becomes more of a dice roll. Let's see it again here. See how he just gets pressed into the dirt. That also tells me that this corner probably has some ability. Let's take a look at Harris. Let's just take a look at Harris's ratings. It's always good to just test this stuff out, because in college, some of these regs teams are just like, they're just crazy good. And so it might just be that they just have a dog out there. He has jammer, so he has a pressing ability. That is why, more than likely, probably what's going on there. He's also going up against Zachariah Branch, and Zachariah Branch is very small. So, he's cool, but he's good, but he's not like amazing. But if we had like a receiver with takeoff there or something, that would kind of counter that a little bit probably. So anyway, I'm just saying, it doesn't necessarily mean the route's bad. It really just means his ability is kind of just taking over here. You see there. And again, if I wait on this, eventually I bet you he gets open all the way across. You see what I mean? So anyway, okay. So that's enough on that route. We pretty much see that if they run like 2 men under with a jammer, then obviously that makes that a pretty good. But other than that, like it was a pretty good route. Now, what I like to do is just test some of the other routes. So one of the other routes that I think is actually pretty underrated in this game is the stick and nod route to the tight end. So if I was trying to get the stick and nod route open, one of the things that I would do is I would run a clear out streak over here on the left side. Also, we kind of notice here that I get slot hot routes, which is super cool. Actually, like really happy with that. The slot hot routes are great this year. And you see, he doesn't quite get that like man-to-man separation that we've seen from previous years. And that could again just be the 2 men under. I'm telling you, 2 men under is the best put your controller defense down ever in this game. But anyways, okay, so the tight end route really doesn't cook man like we wanted to. Okay, well that's fine. Then we can just hot route him. So we'll just put him on that drag again, and then we'll take a look at this slot receiver, this stick and nod, or this little pivot route. As you see there, again, the 2 men under press is kind of what's just making this like ridiculous. And they're just getting good. They're just being able to basically beat them because of the press. Because we're not even really running our routes. Here you see there's the post doing what we wanted to do. We just got to make the catch. But anyways, so okay. So what that tells me is that this route is, it's not really necessary for the play. So then now what we can do is we can start to kind of build around this. So what we'll do is we'll go with a drag, we'll go with a streak, and then we'll go with a drag. Or if you want to do a return route over there, you can as well. Okay, so what this does is it gives us a really good high-low read in the middle of the field that does have potential to beat man, right? Your tight end drag is unbumpable, so a lot of times he beats man. I don't know why anybody can't catch right now, but the whole team is having issues with catching. But anyway, you have this kind of concept here. Even if we wanted to, we could put the running back on a little wheel route, get some, again, just kind of clearing this play out. But you see the tight end drag is pretty consistent. And then, like I said, we don't have to beat every single like the one route doesn't have to be able to beat every single coverage known to man. It's just, can that route beat most coverages, right? We'll take a look at the return route kind of late in this play, and we should see how he just kind of gets separation super late in the play. It doesn't have to be that late either. Also, the general rule of thumb is to run this with your trips to the wide side of the field. That's kind of just been a constant. Just gives you the best spacing. There is obviously short side setups, but in general, it probably just makes the most sense to do this. We're just going to put him on a basic in route. You see that in route does get enough separation for me. So, so you see here, like we have some plays that are pretty good. Another thing that we can do if we wanted to attack man to man is we can utilize motion snaps. So, for example, one of the ways we could motion snap here is we could put this receiver on a drag, and then we could do like whatever we really want with the slot here. But the point is just going to test this motion drag. So again, we just kind of test this just to see if he's unbumpable. Does that really change anything? Doesn't really. So, okay. So as you see there, like we have a concept, okay? And we can build around this play. We still have to have some more tools in our tool belt for attacking man. But that's pretty much it for this play. So as we're looking through again, I like to test these plays again primarily against man coverage. So now I want to look at the stock fade here on this in and go to see if that is an unbumpable fade. And it is not an unbumpable fade, but our crosser is pretty consistent as you see there. So that now kind of leads me to my next thing, which is going to be to take a look at this short post from right to left and just see how this does at getting man-to-man separation. So you see this one actually does a lot better. Now, the only reason why I believe that this one runs better is just because that slot corner is not going to have the same ability as the guy that's actually covering Zachariah Branch. So you actually get just a more accurate portrayal of the man coverage. And maybe he does. But in general, it just seems like, the thing that was happening to Zachariah was really more of a byproduct of the player as opposed to the route. So as you see there, we're getting consistent separation. So now that we have something that gives us consistent man-to-man separation, we need to look at what play, what combos, how can we manipulate the user and also make this play good against the zone. So if we're looking at this play outs, how could we make this play a good zone beater? I think one of the easiest ways to make this play good is to run a Texas route to the running back because we know that beats man. We have this little quick flat to the tight end. I would probably just zig him. And then on the outside, you could really do whatever with this outside guy. One of the underrated little motions here is I'll show you if I motion him in, he's going to stack and I could put him on a slot fade, which could potentially give us some different things against man. You see, kind of creates some natural picks, natural rubs. But really, the main route is that nice Texas route to the running back, which is going to give us pretty consistent man-to-man separation. And again, the reason why you start with man is because it's the hardest coverage to beat consistently pretty much every year. In terms of like when I say consistency, like you need specific routes typically to beat man coverage. So you can do that. The other thing that you have with this tight end route, there's a lot we could do with the tight end here. But really I like the zig. You also, this stock flat route, we'll just test this against man. Sometimes these stock tight end flat routes are really good, as you see right there. Like that's pretty good against shaded down man. Let me actually do it. Let me man up the linebacker and just see if we get the same kind of degree of separation. You see, not quite the same, but as you see, our lovely short post is doing what we want it to do. So anyways, all that to say, so now we kind of have some pretty quasi-consistent man beaters. Another one that I want to test real quick is the post route from PA post shot. So this post route is a little bit more unique of a post route. What we could do with this play is we could run a tight end corner, maybe like a little baby out route and a slot fade. I think this is a pretty good combo. And then really whatever you want on the left side, we'll just put a wheel route here just for ease of play breakdown. And what you'll see is this post cuts sharply to the middle, and it can pop the cover two. So you see how, like, even though that press ability was really good, it's really good on those quick cutting routes, but then you might be able to open up something else. So anyways, those are some of the ways that you can beat man coverage from this playbook or from this formation. Is you're kind of looking for some of these other routes. So for example, again, this PA post shot play, by having a, even if you wanted to put a drag here, this isn't a bad play at all. And you see how the drags are so good for, you got to have drags, man. Drags are so key. And typically it's like that. Like typically it's like drags, post routes, corner routes, and then, either a cheat motion or something, right? So that's kind of the man-to-man beating aspects of everything that I wanted to go over, just in terms of like the basics of can these routes beat man. So now what I want to do is I want to see if this can be kind of put together some zone plays. So what I like to do is just basic cover 4, cover 3, cover 2. So can it beat cover 4 hard flat? Can it be cover 3 hard flat? Can it be cover 2? And then typically once you can beat those 3, you're going to get a combo coverage. Like you might get cover 4 to one side and cover 2 to the other side. You might get cover 3 to one side and cover 3 to the other side. You might get a 3 cloud rotation, but in general, it's kind of cover 3, cover 4, cover 2. Okay, so my setup for this play is I'm just going to drag my tight end, and you can table route or not table route. It's honestly up to you here. But what you see is this tight end does get in that soft spot where it's really hard to defend. They have to kind of put the yellow zones underneath. They might even have to user this route, especially if we put this table route here. And then what I bet you we want to do is this like double drags like this, probably spaces out really well. Always, always, always set that pass protection to base. That is going to really help you. And see how he pulls that defender, and you can throw this in a really soft spot against the zone. So we have that left side, kind of left side read that we're able to hit there. And then we also want to make sure that this post gets into kind of a soft spot against zone. And so if you do get a zone look, you see how that short post gets in a really, shout out to the quarterbacks in practice mode this year. See how that short post gets in a really soft spot against the cover 4, which I will show you one more time here. But you'll see you get a very nice clear out and then that gets right in that window. I can't believe this game. I literally can't believe this game. They they practice. They just killed practice mode. Oh man, like why can't the quarter? If you guys don't know, like the quarterbacks are just bugged in practice mode, and you basically have to be just perfect with your timing. So anyway, but as you can see, we get a really nice spot for cover three and cover four. Now, just knowing this game a little bit, we know that a mid read is a pretty good zone. So we want to test it against cover two, kind of see how does the mid read react to a setup like this. What I should happen is the mid read should go to the seam streak. As you see here, he kind of leaves it. So that means that this is a cover two beater if they don't put that mid read in the middle third, which is great because now we have a consistent way to attack cover two in this formation, right? And the consistent way in which we can attack cover two is just a simple streak on the slot receiver with this like underneath drag here to the right, put the running back on whatever. Watch that mid read. See how he's just kind of going to stay there. You have to pass like this to the middle of the field, of course, but the deep halves, because they fan out so much, this gives us a really nice cover two beater. Now, of course, that probably means that if we go to our play all go, we can, one little tip with this play, you can stem this streak so that it doesn't end up being an option route because I don't think the option route is very good. So I'm going to stem this streak all the way up. And then what you're going to see is now it's just a streak, right? Or I could just re-streak in, but I think it kind of angles a little bit to the middle. Anyway, against cover two, you're going to see R1 is going to be able to, as we just get yelled at on a three-man rush because practice mode is one of the modes, boys, sometimes. But anyway, so you'll see with all go, I'll just put him on a regular streak too. See, I just don't like how that streak runs. Like if you look at that streak, it's kind of going a little bit more to the side. Whereas I feel like this is kind of angling a little bit more inside, just a little bit. But anyways, so you see here the mid read is going to leave this alone, and you can still throw that against cover two. Let me show it one more time. As you're seeing though, this guy is slightly outside. So like if I motion him inside, you see how, oh, look, we just found a new motion, right? We just found a new way to motion within the formation that can give us some different things. So now you see if I motion him in, you would have thought that would have worked, but the mid read follows him when I motion him in because it gives a different rule, a different check, if you will, within the play. So that's an option. Another thing that we want to test here or show you is that we can motion this guy in on a slot fade like this. And what happens now is we probably have some really cool stuff against cover two. You're going to see here, he's going to really pull that. How is that happening? How? I just don't get it. But he will basically pull the deep half defender. So, and you could do it either way. So let me show you. So you could go, like this could be a play that we use. We could go all go, and we're going to go slot fade on this guy. And we're going to motion this guy in, put him on a streak, right? Something like this. And now you have a pretty clear, kind of unique alignment for your cover two beater. And also, it's also pretty good. So multiple ways to skin the cat. But again, this is just kind of some of the stuff that I do when we're talking about like just testing things and schemes. And you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what's the most likely coverage that they're going to run? Against something like this, honestly, probably man coverage, which we do have some good routes for. And that's why, again, this being our base play makes a lot of sense because if the post can beat man coverage, it's not great against press man if they have an ability, but in general, it can beat man coverage. If that post route doesn't beat man coverage, we have two drag routes that are historically pretty good against man. If we wanted to, we could also put the running back on a wheel, or we could also do something like this, which I think is pretty cool. So you could go with a slot fade on R1. Here's another combo. You could motion this guy in, put him on a corner route, and stem him all the way down. And then now what we're able to do is we can run kind of like a flood to the right if we wanted to do something like this. And you'll see here that this corner route will get over the top of a cloud flat defender, and that slot fade will clear out against every single zone in the game. This is also good, and I'll show you why. Because if we run a corner, you see how they kind of stack like this? Like this is really, really good for attacking, kind of man coverage based defenses. And as you see, that corner kind of won. It didn't win gray, but and then that also kind of cross applies to something else. So the only other thing I forgot to mention about cover two man is one of the best routes against cover two man is this tight end corner. Now hopefully it'll work, but you could go with like more of a U trips type of setup where by motioning this guy in, we get slot hot routes, which would get the speed out. We stem that speed out all the way down. We got a slot fade as a clear out. Like this play, honestly, is pretty good. You could run a wheel if you wanted to, or just block the running back. But take a look at this against man. You'll see that tight end corner normally will win. Unfortunately for me, they got a random or like a pretty good press there on the right side. And then, that's where it starts to become more about like, okay, how can we get this? How can we get, even if it's like this, just to isolate this corner a little bit more, normally that can help as well. So anyway, so now what I like to do is basically ask the question, okay, how do I attack the entire field within this offense? So based on some of the concepts that we put together, how can I attack the entirety of the field? And really, honestly, we're looking more so for like a one-play touchdown against different coverages and different ways to get there. So one of the best routes that I would think is probably this super deep post route, right, to the left. So what I want to do is I just want to call it, kind of see how it runs. I'm going to test it against cover two to just see if it kills cover two. You see here, he does get rerouted, and it doesn't crucify cover two like you would want it to, but you do have other cover two beaters in this offense. However, this is kind of a historically really good cover four, cover three beater. So we will see if that works. Normally these deep post routes are really good against those coverages. As you see here, it actually played it pretty good. Okay, so that was cover four, and then we'll just test, cover three while we're here. And again, you don't necessarily have to have, a one-play touchdown against every coverage for an offense to be viable, but it's just nice to see if you have any like good one-play touchdown type formulas. So you see here the middle third kind of plays it pretty well, but there is a little window there to throw it. And so okay, so we kind of saw there that, for the most part defended pretty well. But now I'll put some hot routes on the field that might be able to help. So some hot routes that might be able to help this play in terms of its capability to beat man-to-man coverage is obviously a motion in corner route. That's going to be one of the easy ones that you probably want to have. And then really from there, probably like some type of slant on the field. And we'll leave it right there, just see if we can get it with two. And you'll see here that inside quarter is just doing an amazing job of being able to kind of roll back onto that route. So how can we isolate that outside quarter? Well, one of the ways we can do that is we'll do a corner, and then we're going to leave. We'll do like a curl and just see if this curl can hold him. We're looking at that inside quarter to see if we can get him held down. You see there, that kind of holds him for a little bit, but not quite able to get this over the top. And again, we just kind of test this again and again and again. And eventually you find something normally that's pretty good. Like what's the pull route for this zone is kind of the question. We'll try this like a basic slant here real quick and just see. I don't think this will do anything, but we'll just see. And yeah, still kind of played it. So, okay. So it doesn't look like we're going to have any like amazing, easy one-play touchdowns against cover four, cover three. But honestly, most formations really don't this year. I will say that. Another thing, though, I was also going to mention that we can kind of apply another concept. So another concept that we can apply is this idea of a slot corner, a motion in slot fade, and you stem up that slot fade a couple times, and then streaking the tight end. This is a bunch route combo, and we've kind of created a little bit of a makeshift bunch here. And so we'll just see if the slot fade, and voila, as you can see, he does get over the top. Now we need a good throw, but he does get over the top of that outside quarter when you run something like that. So this is how we can kind of, again, just building our plays, building our offense, these are some of the easy things that you can do that I think will make a really big difference. So we'll put this guy this time on the slot fade. Make sure you're stemming this corner all the way down. You probably don't even really need the tight end streak, but I think it's nice to have for other coverages. And then, you know, you can kind of just run whatever you want to run on the back end of this, but you'll see R1, you're going to get on top of him. And R1, it seems like the quarter played R1 a little better than he played the other guy. So we will go through and we will try it with him. So we're going to go slot fade on R1, do that slot corner, and then really from there, you know, you're pretty much good to go. I'm going to also make sure, let's see here. Where was I messed it up, I think. Yeah, I did. So we're going to put R1 on the corner and then put Thomas on the slot fade. Okay. So when you stem up the slot fade, 2, 3, 4 times, I think is best. And so you see here, see how he kind of just laps him to the outside. And honestly, you know what? It's okay. We can just throw the ball to the corner route. Like, it's not that big of a deal. The corner route's still a massive play if they don't switch stick it. You know, and that's also something that you got to remember. So I'm just going to do like a one-time stem up and just see if that changes anything. And you see, for the most part, like, he plays it pretty good when we don't do like a four-way stem up. So that's something also to know. But anyways, so basically what we found here is that if we do want to bomb cover 4, the best way to probably do that is to go ahead and utilize a corner route on R1 where we stem it all the way down, and then a slot fade where we stem it at least 2 times, probably 3. Okay. And then what we'll see here is if we get a good throw, he's right there. You just got to get an accurate throw, which is crazy in P mode right now. Okay. So we'll also go over some cover 3 beaters. So another good old classic cover 3 beater that we normally have. We'll use the play outs for this, but basically you're just going to motion this guy in on a post and stem that post up a couple times. And normally this will beat cover 3. We'll see if it does out of this formation. And you see it actually really beats cover 3 well. So we've kind of built into, just by the sheer volume of finding some cover 2 bombs, finding some cover 3, cover 4 bombs, being able to beat man coverage consistently, right? Some of the basics. We've now kind of discovered that this formation gets a lot better when you motion this guy in. For a lot of different reasons. There's some reasons to keep him outside here, but generally speaking, it seems like that this is going to be a much better offense if we motion this guy in a little bit and create almost kind of like a almost makeshift type of bunch. And then we'll kind of build some plays around this. So another thing that you can do, as you see here, we got fade, we've got a corner, and then we could go streak, and we could run it like this as well. And against most coverages, you're going to see that circle is going to get open to that outside because of that slot fade. That you're going to be able to hit that. We'll show that. Another little route combo that I think is super good. As you notice, this outside guy is backed off a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a slot fade and a comeback route. Now again, and we'll probably put a little zig here. It's a super underrated way to get to a high-low. But basically, what's going to happen is they're going to need you're just going to see that this comeback route really does a nice job kind of getting in the soft spot against zone coverage. So again, I was talking about it, but we want to have a way to attack you want to have a way to attack like the left and the right side. Another good combo out of this is all go, because you have this really unique kind of deep tight end crosser. That tight end crosser can be really good against man coverage. And then also what you have is you have the capability here to kind of create some simple things that you can do. So what I would do is a return route on R1. I would drag circle, but I would motion him in. And then I'd probably block my running back. So you see this has kind of created kind of like a smash return type of play. Again, the meta informs the off meta. And so you've got that slot fade. And take a look at that tight end route against man coverage. Gets pretty good separation. And then because of the motion in, we're going to get pretty decent separation from the circle receiver here. You'll see just this bait, just on nothing alone other than just getting him a favorable alignment. You see that corner messes up his press, and now we have, a consistent man beater. Now, the other reason why this is good is because now they're not going to really be able to run cover three, cover four to this side because we're going to high low those defenders, and you're going to see that right here. So, again, if we show you the play art, you got that clear out, you got the drag, and then that crosser gets across the field really nicely in college because of the hash marks, and you're going to be able to attack the defense with that as well. Another super underrated deal is that you have this guy's a slot receiver. So if we want to go over like the play outs, just a very simple high-low read, speed out and table route. So the table route pulls the flat down, and the speed out, gets right in that little window right there. So again, a lot of different ways that you can really attack, defenses within this. You also have this play outs, which is really nice because we can just run a basic combo like this. The curl flat combo is really good in this year's game. So you could run something like this. Or the other thing that you could do is you could kind of create a natural pick and rub and run the play like this if you wanted to. There's a lot of different ways you could run this play, but it really is centered around this short post. As you see, it just gets great separation against zone, and it's a great man-beating route. So those are a couple of the plays that I like out of this wing trio offense and kind of some of the strategies that I use to build an offense from the ground up. You want to be able to beat man. You want to be able to block the blitzes that you're going to face. You also want to be able to in my opinion, you also want to be able to attack the entirety of the field. However, that looks, there's a lot of ways to do that, and almost every offense can attack the entirety of the field, but you want to just make sure in some of your core plays that those plays are equipped with the ability to attack the entirety of the field. It's super important this year because of how switch stick is, and just because it just makes for a better offense if you're constantly able to attack multiple areas of the field. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did and you're still watching, you'd be a great member in our school community. It's completely free, and it gets you access to exclusive tips, mini schemes, and an entire community of people that are trying to get better at this game.